So here is the project. I have used a resolution of 800 by 600. And here are the sprites that I am using, like the ball, the background, the sun, and some masks. I will start with a node 2D as the root node, and I'm going to add a texture rect to put the background. Then inside I'm going to put a control node to make it easier to access to the mouse properties. Then inside I'm going to use a static body and another sprite that represents the sun. I will deactivate the centered mode of the sprite. And I am going to change its size to 512 pixels and adjust its position. Another very important thing is the viewport. This is where I will process the image, and I need to nest another viewport to simply capture the color of the sprites. I am going to use a sub-viewport container, and inside the color buffer I'm going to nest a sprite image that I'm going to use to draw in the sand. So here is the sprite that I am using. Now I will add another sprite to represent the upper part of the sand, which is a kind of a wave. It's very important that both viewports are in transparent mode. Now I will remove the center mode in both sprites, and you can see the mask inside the viewport. So the next step is that I am going to add a small shader to process the content of the sub-viewport container. I'm going to call this shader process.gdshader. And it's going to be very simple. I am just going to take the content of the texture of the viewport using the texture variable. I get access because I am using the sub-viewport container. So now I have the value of the texture. I can convert it to grayscale values using the maximum value of the 3 channels, RGB. And now I can convert this value to black and white. I can set the gray value as the output using the color output variable of the canvas item shader. I'm going to save the scene, and I am going to add a texture just to make it easier to visualize the value. And here you can see the result of the processing with the shader, the viewports, and the viewport container. I'm going to change the output to black and white, but what I really need is an image with an alpha channel. So I will just add the mask to the alpha channel and leave the albedo color as gray. That will basically be half of the job. Now it's possible to convert this alpha channel image into collision polygons. And here it is. This transformation to polygons is basically what I want to happen in every frame. I'm going to delete the polygons, and now I'm going to change the clear mode to next frame. This step is very important because it allows persistence and drawing in the viewports. For example, if I change the coordinates here, you can see the change. I will reload the image, and you can see that as I move the ball inside the viewport, it continues to draw. This means that I can manipulate these values with code and draw the shapes I want. For example, here we have this result already converted to polygons. I will also apply a small shader to reuse the same image from the viewport on the sprite of the sand. So in this shader, I will simply copy its alpha channel. So I get the texture from the viewport, and I just copy its alpha channel. To the output variable. So you must see the result in the sand here. Now I am going to add some obstacles which are static bodies. This is a very simple process. As you can see, I just add a node and inside some obstacles that I'm going to position and duplicate around the sand. But I also want to create some space around these obstacles. So I am going to use shapes that will then be used as additional mask in the editing viewport. For example, I am going to add this couple of masks to create additional space. I am going to change their order, and I will also adjust their position inside the viewport, and that's it. I will then move these shapes inside the viewport using Gdscript code. So just now for testing, I am moving these shapes to the center. As you can see the drawing inside the shape. So I can transform to collision polygons. As you can see now, there are a couple of them. Now, all of this has been the main concept of this exercise. So I am using this new project that is complete. It's just missing a collision shape here. I am going to fix this. And now I am going to use code to reproduce the behavior in each frame, so I can draw, mask, and paint at the same time. So let's go to the Gdscript code. So I create a flag variable and an array of collision polygons. And as I said before, I have to move all the masks inside the viewport. So I iterate over the array of masks and then remove them from the current parent and move inside the viewport. I have to adjust the position first, and also I have to wait for the first frame to render in the viewport. And now I am going to create the collision polygons. So I create an empty bitmap, then I extract the texture from the viewport, and I create a bitmap from this texture. Then I delete all the polygons if there are any, and I create an array of vector points from the image in the bitmap. Then I create a collision polygon, and now I append this to the array of polygons. I also append this array to the rigid poly. So now I listen from the mouse events, mouse press and mouse motion, and I call this function update tick that watch if the mouse is inside the sand container that is a control, and it moves the dig hole so I can draw inside the viewport. As you can see, it's another name. And you can see the final result that I think it looks very good.